kick off the program, I want to introduce you to Neve Larson. She is the Executive Director of the Education Abroad and Exchanges Program, and she has been with us at UK for 8 years and was recently made Executive Director. And I am going to turn it over to her so she can introduce us to everyone in Dublin and London and give us some more information about the program. Neve?
Thank you, Sarah. I'm so excited to be here with everyone today. I was really fortunate to be able to join the first cohort of this program in Dublin last month. And what I saw during my time there really showed me the impact of this program and what the impact it's having on our students. And they learned so much in a short amount of time and have really been able to experience the beautiful city of Dublin. So I want to share a few quotes from students who participated both in London and Dublin from the first session. So you won't be able to hear from them directly today, but I just wanted to share a few things that they have shared with us. The first quote from one of the student participants was, "This program has quite literally changed the trajectory of my life in so many ways. I feel capable of doing things now that I could not have dreamed of doing just a couple of weeks ago. It has been great to establish international connections. I now have the urge to search for more study abroad opportunities." The second student said, "I cannot thank the University of Kentucky enough for allowing me to have this opportunity. I will carry this experience with me for the rest of my life and continue to grow the skills I learned throughout this program my entire life." And the last quote from the final student was, "I thought this program was great. I gained a lot of confidence and realized I could be very independent from my parents. I learned a lot about interviewing for jobs and my resume, because everyone assumes you're just going to know how to do that stuff, but no one teaches you about the job market except for this program, which was great." These are just a few examples of the impact that this program has already had on students. So a little bit more about this program. It is called Explore First, Careers, Cultures, and Connections. It was developed as a joint effort between the Education Abroad and Exchanges Office, the First Generation Student Office, and the James Stuckert Career Center within Student Success. It started as a concept that we wanted to bring to life to introduce career readiness within a global context for our first generation students as part of their academic experience at UK. To be here talking about this program with students now who are on site 13 months later is really a dream come true for myself and the team that's been working to put this program together. This summer, we are having a total of 60 students traveling to both London and in England and Dublin, Ireland for back-to-back 3-week sessions. The first cohort of 30 students already returned to the US, and the second cohort, who you are hearing from today, is currently there until the 3rd week of July. During each session, the students have usually 3 hours of class in the morning, and in the afternoons, they participate in either cultural activities or employer visits. Some of the cultural activities have included visiting the Tower of London and the Victoria Albert Museum in England, and then in Dublin, the Epic Museum and the National Museum of Ireland. Some of the companies that the students have been able to visit are Accenture, Alltech, Compass, Gray Construction, LinkedIn, and Neuberger Berman. During these visits, students were able to learn about the different industries, have their resumes reviewed, do practice interviews, and hear from other former first-generation students who are working for these global companies. So that's just a little bit of an overview about the program, but obviously we want you guys to hear directly from the students about this program and their experience on it. So I'm excited to be joined by 2 of the program leaders, Mark Williams, who's a program advisor in student success, and Beth Hahnemann, who's the assistant director in the James W. Stuckert Career Center, as well as some of the students in Dublin and London who are participating in the program. So thank you all for joining us. And I'm going to turn it over to Mark and Beth.
Thank you, Nee.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's actually 5 o'clock our time over here. I know it's noon back in the States, but we'll give a quick introduction of who we are and then ask some questions to the students. So I'm Beth Hahnemann. I'm one of the assistant directors in the Stuckert Career Center. One of the reasons I love this particular program and want to be a part of it is I love hanging out with students. I love seeing their growth and making connections for careers, life, and just new experiences. And these are 3 of my students that we're currently hanging out with in Dublin.
And again, I'm Mark Williams, Senior Program Advisor for Community and Professional Development Programs One of the things I really love about being a part of this program is not only for the students to learn, but just other ways on how we can interact with students and even learning ourselves. It's been kind of fun trying to navigate being in a whole nother environment, a whole nother country, and going through the same process the students are going through a lot of times. And just like sometimes they got lost on the bus, we got lost on the bus too. And it helps us to reconnect with students on another level to show that this is an opportunity as professionals for us to learn and then to share our experiences. And like I've already told the students, we're family. At this point, we've been through a lot together, and it changes our relationship and how we can hopefully connect and change our relationship, not only with the community in Kentucky at UK, but also just with the general Lexington and Kentucky community as a whole. So at this point, we're going to ask the students to introduce themselves. We are joined by Lauren, James, Brianna, Braden, Anna, Caroline, and Micah. And we're gonna start with Lauren, and then James, and then go to Brianna from there. So, and then Braden.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lauren. I'm from Inez, Kentucky. Currently, I'm pursuing a dual degree in finance and marketing through the Gatton College of Business. I'm also in Dublin right now. And my dream job is to hopefully obtain my real estate license and go into that. But if not, I'd like to have that on the side and then work solely as a financial analyst. So far, my favorite experience on this trip so far was that we got to see a lighthouse and walk along the beach and pick up seashells.
Hi, my name is James Russell. I am a sophomore at the university studying computer science. This has been an amazing opportunity. Everything about it has just been simply amazing. One of my favorite parts about being here has been getting to listen to almost 1,000-year-old organ in the St. Patrick's Cathedral. We actually got to listen to like a Disney and Star Wars melody played on it. So that was just a really amazing experience.
I'm Brianna Holiday, and I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I'm majoring in social work, and I'm in Dublin too. And I think that my favorite part of this experience so far has either been trying all the different food places, and there's so many different like coffee shops and such, and like I'm a big coffee fan, or it had to be our trip to Accenture.
And now we'll hear from the London group. So we'll start with Braden, and then we'll go to Anna, and then to Micah.
Sorry, would you mind repeating that? My connection has been really spotty right now.
We just wanted you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about why you are excited to be here and your dream job and something that you've experienced so far.
All right, so I'm Braden. I'm from Lexington, Kentucky. Lived there my entire life. Same house for the last 20 years, actually, which is kind of crazy. I'm an aerospace engineering major. I'm doing minors in math and military science. I'm also in the Air Force ROTC program at UK, and I'm hoping to commission as a developmental engineering officer into the US Air Force. London has been a great experience and a crazy experience. I definitely love all of the different perspectives that I've been getting. That's probably my favorite part. Just every different little way that people do things here that I never would have thought of at home, and the interactions that I've had with those sorts of extra experiences and the people specifically.
Hi, my name is Ana Carolina. I'm from Brazil. My major is aerospace engineering. I'll be a sophomore this fall semester. If I could say one thing that has been my favorite thing about this trip at this moment would be getting to know a lot of different companies and understanding that you won't start big. You start as a little thing, but then what you do to that little thing, the effort you put on it, will make all the difference in what you will become. And what we see now are tiny ideas that became huge businesses. And when it comes to my dream job, it would be being a big tech owner. So that connects with everything that I'm saying here, because I see people that I can be inspired by. And I want to really create technologies that will change routines of a lot of people in the world. And I hope that I can be an inspiration for the future generations as well.
Hi, my name is Micah Smith Jackson, and I will be a sophomore this coming semester. I am studying political science on the international relations track with a minor in psychology and a certification in peace studies. And this trip has honestly been so fun. Like Mark said, it really has become like a little family within our little group of 15, and just being able to just see all the different parts of London, both new and old, and different developments that they are looking forward to building on is extremely like eye-opening, especially to some of the ideas and the inclusion here is just amazing to see how inclusive and diverse the cultures, the food is, and the people are, and how they really do care over here about their citizens.
Thank you each so much for sharing about your experiences and your background. We're actually going to go individually and ask some questions. So Lauren, we're going to begin with you. A little bit background for those of you who see all of us in Dublin in one screen. We're actually staying at Trinity College over here. So it's pretty interesting to be able to walk across campus and still see people that are touring and wanting to go see the Book of Kells as well. So we're actually in one of our rooms that are located here in Dublin. So Lauren, I would like you to give us a chance to tell a little bit more about what made you want to participate in this program and kind of the reasons why you're here.
So, growing up, I'm from Eastern Kentucky, like I mentioned earlier, and I had 5 siblings, so it was always a packed house, and it's hard to raise 5 kids. Kids can be expensive and everything, but I never imagined or saw myself moving 2.5, almost 3 hours away to Lexington to attend college, let alone go out of the country. I've never been on a plane before or anything, so it's definitely an experience. My mom has roots in Ireland through her dad's side of the family, and I'd always heard little stories about how they came over and everything, and I'd always just wanted to really set myself into their shoes and feel what it's like to travel abroad. Also, who wouldn't want to travel abroad and get to see such amazing and wonderful things?
And she did great on her first plane ride, y'all. Just want you to know that. Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate that. So Bree, we're going to switch it over to you. And here's our question for you. On that particular element in space, I would like you to share a little bit more in terms of, we've been in Dublin for about a week and a half. Can you share the moments from your time here in Dublin so far that you felt particularly proud of in terms of accomplishment or something that's really impactful for you?
I would say the time that I felt like accomplished the most would either be like one of our first days of class or one of our first site visits, because it just made it feel so real that I was able to leave the country, and that like it just hit that I was like, I'm in college and like I'm able to do this experience, and I'm able to actually have this opportunity to study abroad. And it was just like really eye-opening, all the like just like the whole experience, just really eye-opening.
Awesome. Thank you so much. What's been one of your favorite visits?
My favorite visit so far, like I've mentioned before, was Accenture, and I really liked that visit because going into this, I'm a social work major and I want to go into middle school social work specifically. So I knew like all the different companies that would be here would be more of like just like business, and like I thought it would be more of just like financial companies and such. But I didn't really see how I would fit into that place. But Accenture really made me realize that even like social work has a place in a big business like that. And so do so many of the other sites as well.
So thank you so much, Bree. So James, on to you. You are studying engineering. What specific skills and knowledge have you gained so far from this experience that you can see valuable for your future career and then your academics at UK?
Since being here, honestly, it's helped me so much with networking, intercommunicational skills, and just simply learning more about what I want to do with my future. what I learned a lot here is about like internship and co-ops, like looking toward the future and how companies in Dublin what they look for in students. So I've got to learn a lot about the methodologies and like ideologies they look for in students when applying. It's also just taught me simply just how to get better at talking with people. Everyone here has been so nice, and just getting to experience someone else's culture and learn more about them has just been such an amazing experience. I just know I've met so many amazing people who have asked me personally to reach out to them for maybe possibly future internships and co-ops. And just even having that in engineering is just simply amazing. And even like them bringing up the ideal of studying abroad or interning in a different country is just simply insane to me. I've also learned just how, I guess, never realized how much maybe companies want us, or maybe a better way to say it is like believe in us, I think is a better way of saying it. We've been treated so nice, and they didn't have to do that. We just simply asked if we could come into their company, but they treated us with the utmost respect that I've ever been treated for. And just being felt as like being, I guess, you're suspected as a person, and then simply believing in us to just give us a shot has been just truthfully just straight blessing. So I've just learned a lot that where I want to go with my future and how I can maybe take what I've learned here and take it back to people back home.
Wow, that sounds like you're having an awesome time over there in Dublin, as we can hear. So we appreciate that, James. And so we're going to actually hear from our students over here in London, some of their experiences as well. And so we're going to start with Braden. So Braden, we've kind of touched on the perspective of being over here, but I'm wondering what ways has the program broadened your perspective of Kentucky, especially being from Lexington?
So, that's a big question. So I think to answer that, I might have to expand a little bit more on my own background. So like I said, I've only lived in Lexington. I've moved once in my life, lived in the same neighborhood for as long as I can remember. So I've grown up really around the same kinds of people. And even I've never been really to a big city other than for a connecting flight in an airport. And that's just about it. Not for any significant length of time, at least. So coming here has been, at first it was sort of an overload, actually. Coming from a city that has 300,000 people back home to a place that is coming up on 10 million was just such a major change in how I view quite a few different things. Because if you think about it, a lot of things are based on perspective, right? So leadership, perspective, followership. In terms of engineering, design, and design ethics, any sort of foreign policy, it's all based on perspective. It comes back to how much you have and how much you're willing to give and receive. So being able to gain this perspective is a phenomenal experience, just to be able to go back to Kentucky, to go back to where I'm from, to that little sort of not gated, but along those lines, community, and be able to give a perspective on a way of thinking, a way of living that is so vastly different from mine that it's almost difficult to convey if you haven't lived it. And we have lived it over here, which has just been, I can almost not even believe that we've been able to get this experience. So coming back to Kentucky, it's those, for me at least, it's those four things. So leadership, followership, better perspectives on those. And in terms of my major, my degree, design ethics, all that sort of thing. There will be a lot of people that I meet over the years now that I'll be able to give an extra perspective that they would never have been able to see otherwise, just by talking to them, which is a skill that I never thought that I would have, and I never thought that I needed to build, but it's been a phenomenal development lesson for me to be able to do that. So it's almost difficult to put into words how much it's impacted me, because I can't live it for you, right? I can just talk about it. So it's been amazing. Long story short.
Oh, we appreciate that. And one of the perspectives that Anna and Braden had with me in terms of stepping out was in food. So we actually had a random moment where we went to a Jamaican restaurant, had some jerk chicken, a lot of different types of fish, and hearing their experience with that really impacted me. But all the food was gone by the time we got done leaving. We ate everything. It was good. It was great. But thank you again for that perspective. Anna, want to ask you this question. What does being a first generation college student mean to you? And how do you see this identity really shaping your future, both academically and professionally?
Hi again. When it comes to that question, I think that being a first generation is a reason to be proud, because it's like we get a turning point in our hands. It's like you've got the chance to change the legacy in your family. It's like we are given the tools to build something that has never been in our families before. And I feel very privileged, in fact, to be here. I'm not only first generation, I'm international. So I'm stepping in on places that my parents never did. And that's why I feel that I've been given an amazing opportunity to change the whole scenario, not only in my family right now, but for the generations that are to come. I really believe that each generation should be better than their parents, just because everything that they were fighting to conquer, we are born with that in our hands. So it's our job to use what they conquered as tools to conquer even more. So being a first generation to me is basically having open doors to explore even more and conquer even more, not only for our families, but to impact other families. And when it comes to shaping my academic and professional life, what I've been learning here is that all the challenges, they come to shape who you are, and that you won't always have an opportunity in front of you, but you have opportunities to create opportunities. So I had the opportunity to go to the US, and by doing that, I created an opportunity to come to London. So I think what I've been learning the most is that even in the details, you can find great things to accomplish. So I think I need to be the one to do it. Like sometimes we are too afraid that we are too young or we are only kids, but I may not be the smartest, but I'll certainly be the one that works the hardest. So this is what I've been learning the most here. And I think it's been a great journey, and I'm sure that I'll go back to the US much more grown than before, and believing much more in myself than I ever believed.
Thank you, Anna. And I can definitely say we have seen a lot of growth, especially a group of 15 students who knew each other a little bit, and now they're talking all the time. And on top of that, being able to connect with different companies. And I can definitely speak to the fact that they've been asking some really great questions. And especially Micah. Micah's been getting out there, really trying to find ways to make those connections. And so, Mike, I want to ask you this question. How do you plan to use the experience that you've gained through Explore First to positively impact your community?
So I am, with being part of a first generations, it definitely comes with challenges sometimes. And this experience, one, was the best thing that could actually ever happen to me, because due to like foreseen circumstances, just to give a little bit of background on me, I grew up in a single parent household for all of my life, and never thought that I would actually have a chance to go abroad. And for one, to be able to go to college and be able to pave the way through scholarships and just hard work. And then two, to be able to have this opportunity come around to where I'm getting to stay in London for 3 weeks and learn so much through both Mark and Dr. Leah. And they have been just giving us a lot of insight into our professional development, and also being able to connect with these employers who are sharing that there is no just one path to your dream job or your dream career, and what you think may be your dream career may be completely left field, and you may be absolutely amazing in another capacity somewhere else. So that's what I have really taken away from most of all of our employers, that no matter what you have, that you can always make something even better than what it was beforehand. And kind of picking back off of what Anna said, like being a first year student and getting this opportunity and being able to spend the time that we do with the rest of the students has honestly created something special, especially with taking this journey of navigating the tube, navigating the buses, and just getting the full like London experience. Not even halfway through our trip, I can say most of us feel like true Londoners now, or are getting the culture down. So which is really fun, and I'm just glad that this is an opportunity that can be taken and hopefully done more for future first gen students, and that I am not stopping here far as traveling abroad. I'm going to be continuing doing more study abroad programs to better advance myself.
Thank you so much, Micah. Mark, I was kind of chuckling when you talked about trying new foods. James, would you like to share? We had an opportunity for one of our companies to see firsthand how they bring food to an organization and support it. Then they're a distributor in the middle, and then also actually how they partner with local farmers. And so James had an opportunity to try some peppers.
Yes. So I do not have a spice tolerance at all. I cannot eat very spicy foods, but while we were touring Compass, we got the opportunity to tour one of their farms, and the farmer offered us some very hot peppers, and I thought it would be funny if I just tried one. It was hot. It was hot. I got through it though. I got through it. But that was just an amazing experience to get just try fresh cuisine and everything, and also help me try to get over the spices. We're getting there. We're working on it.
So clearly food has been important for us in trying different ones for both London and Dublin. So for each of you, we'll finish up with one last question within it. And we'll ask the question of what advice would you give someone who might be a first generation student, who might be hesitant to actually go abroad? And we'll actually begin with our London group. So Anna will begin with you, and then I'll switch over to Micah and then Braden on that one, okay?
I would say that as a first generation student, you are already the first to go to college, so why not be the first to go abroad? I think there are a lot of benefits on being the first on a lot of different things. So it's a chance that you get to learn new things and to develop as a person. You are already in college, and I think there is no place that allows you to grow more than out of your comfort zone. And I've learned here more in 1 week and a half than, I don't know, in the past 1 year, because it's a lot of different experiences in just one day. So I think if you're already being the first to go to college, then just embrace that and be the first to do a lot of different things, the first to conquer a lot of different situations, because then in the future, you will be able to allow other people to be the first ones to do even greater things.
Thank you. Appreciate that, friend. All right. Micah, do you want to go next?
So what I would say to like any first gen students about this experience is that it is extremely helpful in many different ways, from the classroom to our on-site visits. You're always constantly learning something both in and out of the classroom. And you can always learn something even from our people in the groups, because some of us are from different parts of Kentucky, some of us are from Brazil, some of us are from Ohio. So no matter where you are in life, you can always learn from someone else and always try something new. And to not be afraid to take that jump, even though it may be scary, definitely worth trying something new, and that there's always people to catch you if you do fall. But also at the same time, there's always someone who's there to help you fly and try new things and be there for that experience.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that advice. All right, Braden.
So fair warning, my connection's having some problems again. So this might sound a little bit spotty, but anyone that's having trouble deciding whether they want to go on something like this, whether it's fear, whether it's anticipation, whether you're nervous or you're just straight up scared, that's good. That's amazing. Those are experiences that you should look for, because fear and that sort of thing can be a superpower to make you better, right? So if you go through an experience like this, yeah, it's going to be daunting, but think about how much stronger in whatever facet you'll in whatever facet you'll be after you finish, right? So it might be nerve-wracking getting on a plane for 8 hours and flying over the Atlantic, right? It might be nerve-wracking getting off the wrong bus stop and being completely lost in a city that you've never even remotely seen before. But those kinds of experiences are what make us grow and what help us grow the most. It's, for me at least, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I've done, especially being in Air Force ROT, I've had people screaming in my face for hours and hours a day. And getting on that plane, I was nervous. The night before, I barely slept at all. I was getting up and pacing back and forth in my room, trying to figure out what one little thing I was missing in my bag, and never ended up packing anything else. But since then, I've gotten a lot stronger in those areas that I was weak on, that made me scared before, that made me anxious before. So these kinds of experiences are exactly what a student or anybody should be looking for to break them out of that barrier, to get them through whatever ceiling that they've hit. And that's exactly what it's done for me.
Thank you. Those are very inspiring on that one. All right, Dubliners, how about your experience? James, we'll start with you and I'll work our way back to Lauren.
To me, I always say one word to myself, and it's simply just the word try. The word to me has always been something I've always tried to hold myself to. I have very bad imposter syndrome. I don't think I deserve anything I have. I don't think I deserve to be on this trip. I don't think I deserve for the people who invest in me to invest in me. And I don't think I simply deserve to even go to the university. But through the belief system that I've come to have, and the people who have simply just invested in me, just the word try, because I want to try for them. I want to be the best person because they're investing in me. They're helping me every single day. And I just want to basically give back by showing them that I'm using the belief system they're giving me to just try new things. Because if you can't hold yourself to just simply one word, how can you hold yourself to anything? So when I'm doing anything, the word try is what inspires me. It's simple, but it's what sparks everything in my life.
That's so inspiring, especially when you saw him eat that hot pepper, y'all. That's great.
My advice for someone who might be hesitant to go onto this trip would be just, like James said, just try it. I would like just leave, just go. I've had such a good time, and I was so hesitant to actually accept the offer for this trip. I was so nervous to like go abroad, and like my mom was so nervous for me to leave the country, and she was trying to talk me out of it like until the day I left. But it was such a good experience, and you might be like hesitant because of the fact that like you might not know anyone. And just like you're just in a new country, you're just so far away from home. But I've learned so much that I wouldn't have learned to go and like unless I would have went onto this trip. I've made so many new friends, and like the London group said, that it is like a little family. Like you spend so much time with these people. Like I know that I have like lifelong connections. It's such a good experience. I was telling them just to take the trip.
And last but not least, Miss Lauren.
Hard to follow up all your guys' answers, but like everybody said, I would just say just do it. I was terrified when I first accepted the offer. I was so excited, and then about a month before we went to get on the plane, I was terrified. So if I'm scared, I'm sure that, and if you're scared, I'm like almost 99% positive that every other student that's wanting to travel abroad is also equally terrified. But yeah, I would say I've made so many friends, I've made connections, I'm about to build my LinkedIn profile. So you're gonna gain a lot of different things from the trip. So it's not like you have to travel abroad for a year or a semester. You can always do a little trip like this for 3 weeks. So I would say just do it.
Awesome. So Sarah, we'll turn it back over to you unless there's any chat questions in the chat box.
We definitely have questions, and if anyone has any more to put in, please go ahead and do so. But first, I'll just start off with a comment from Sue. She said, "Thanks all for sharing these brilliant insights. This is amazing." Then I will share a two-part question we had from Mike. Thanks for sharing your outstanding experiences. From your short time in London and Ireland, what is your impression of some of the differences between the working folks here in Kentucky with those in the United Kingdom? Secondly, what was your most significant challenge coming to UK from a first generation background? Do we want to start with the differences between working folks in Kentucky and the United Kingdom? Want to start with the London crew and have each of you chime in first? Braden, want to start with you?
So I think a lot of times we've been getting, since we've been on the trip, a lot of us have been going back and forth on the general sort of urgency of people over here in regards to people back home. And at first we thought, okay, people here in London, they move faster, right? Everything seems to be at a faster pace, big city sort of thing. And back home, it looks a lot slower, but that's not exactly what we've seen as we've gotten farther in. There's a lot of urgency of execution in Londoners, but not quite as much urgency in communication. So for instance, back home, things may get done either not exactly slower, but in a less urgent manner. But the communication between working people is more direct, it's more intense, it's more, like I said, urgent. But whereas here, the communication is more feathered, if you will. It's padded quite a lot. So when someone gives feedback, it's far less direct and more sort of trying to get the person to realize it on their own rather than be told. And I think that it carries over into a work life as well. So when someone here is told a task, they have a far more, like I said, feathered way of interpreting it, but their execution is extremely speedy. Whereas back home it's flipped. And I think that's definitely the biggest thing that I've seen, at least in the working people.
What about you, Anna and Carolina?
Very similar to what Braden said. I feel that for me, the biggest thing here is communication. I feel that here things are more indirect. So for example, I feel that we went to Handshake and we had actually an American worker there and some British workers. And we could tell a lot of differences between them. And I would say that the biggest one is that people from Kentucky, they usually focus a little bit more on the community part sometimes. Like they said, we have pizza at the office. We have, when we have Americans, we know that we have like a lot of snacks on the table. So I think it's a community vibe from Kentucky in a more go-focused work here in the UK. So I think those put together makes a really interesting understanding that communication is important and having that community spirit is important, but also that focus on goals is something for us to really pay attention to, because they are really, if you say we're going to do that, this is what they do like at the moment. And for when you go to cafeterias, for example, you order something and it's like, you know, so I think those are the differences. It's more about communication and execution. And in the end, we'll be learning like that those differences actually complement each other. So
Micah, what's your experience?
So really just to piggyback off of both what Braden and Anna said, like the communication is definitely different here, especially even just between like different British people, depending on where they came from. Like Manchester has a different way of speaking in their mannerism compared to general London or central London. Compared to people from Essex or smaller parts of London in like United Kingdom. But it's also been nice to see because what we've like kind of learned from like our group sessions about doing the MPTI test, that we have both P's and Q's in this world, and P's and Q's sometimes don't always agree on a lot of things, but it's also about the collaboration. And that's what we've really been seeing from these companies, that P and Qs can both coexist and make incredible products and have an amazing company. And also that all these different walks of life, both British, non-British, American, and all over the world can all coexist in one workspace, even though sometimes there may be a little bit of a language barrier depending on where exactly they're coming from. Heavy accents sometimes can be a little bit of a barrier, but this has really shown us that in a workspace, you really don't know exactly what are getting thrown into sometimes, and that you have to kind of execute your way and shift and adapt to where your workspace is, and make sure that your workspace is working for you also. But also sometimes it may require some sacrifices depending on what are your strengths and weaknesses and where you can learn from other people.
Thank you, Micah. I turn it over to the Dublin crew and see what the Irish experience is.
So for me, at least, I think something cool I observed is how people commute to work in America, or especially in Kentucky. You pretty much always drive anywhere. You always drive your work, you drive to school, all that. Well, here they either take the train or take the bus. When touring Accenture, we actually asked how many parking spots they have because they said it was a facility of thousands of people. And they said they had 10 because they said over 90% of 90% of their employees actually bike to work. And we also found out that most people who work at these big companies will commonly commute almost an hour train ride every day. We learned that in Ireland, especially, that it's very expensive to own a car. So it's seen as something that most people don't think they need due to how the infrastructure is built around this city. And I found that to be super awesome and super cool.
To add on to what James has said, so he talked about how most people commute to work, so they either walk or they take their bike or the train or the tram or the bus or whatever it is they use to get to work. I've noticed that it's on a corporate level anyways, their dressing is more, I don't want to say relaxed, but it's not as formal as it is in America. So you'll see not as much like business shoes, like flats or something, but you'll see tennis shoes, which was a little different to me. And then a lot of the times their shirts will be just more relaxed.
And with that, we also noticed, because of the fact that people like bike to work more often, we actually visited another university here, and there were actually showers in the bathroom because of the fact that so many people bike to work and such. And another reason why people do that is because of the fact that more people are environmentally friendly here. Like that's a big factor. Not everybody wants to own a car because of the fact that it harms the environment in a lot of different ways. So people are just more aware.
Well, thank you for sharing. And I go to Mike's second part of the question, which was, what was your most significant challenge coming to UK as a first generation student? I'll go back to the London crew and kick it off with Micah.
So I would say that my experience and the most like significant challenges from coming to UK from a first generation's background is that one, when you enter college, you have like your basic tuition and cost wise that's listed out from you, but it's also not said that there are smaller costs that are included into college that don't always get accounted for. And that was sometimes a little bit of a, okay, like, wow, I didn't know I was gonna have to like come out of pocket for X, Y, and Z, and that books were going to be as high as pricing for some of them. But the experience for UK has been like a little bit different for me, since I did have some of my family did end up going to college, and I had cousins that went to college, so they were helping me with that process of getting my resume together, getting my personal statement, and getting all the applications sent out. But UK honestly has been an amazing experience that at first coming in, I was really nervous about where exactly I would find my community. Would I be able to gel with other people and find organizations that wanted me in there and that I would be able to feel comfortable and relate to other people? But now that a year has now passed, even though that year did not feel like a full year, it definitely has changed my entire perspective. I've been able to join multiple organizations. I've actually been able to join leadership roles throughout campus, and just shown that as a first-gen student, it may be scary coming in, but you will learn through all the different challenges, and that there's multiple people on campus to support you, such as our cluster leaders, which has been extremely helpful through the UK staff and multiple different departments, that there is someone that is willing to help you in any shape, form, or facet on campus.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. Anna Carolina?
I think as a first generation student and international student, my biggest challenge was actually to understand that in college, as Mark was talking to us, these days, your life restart. You have the opportunity to reset everything. And especially me coming from another country, I needed to rebuild my life completely, because my connections will need to be made totally new connections. I would need to have new places to go to. I would get to know new professors, but also I would be dealing with a whole new language. So I think, to me, the biggest learning that I had was that if you want something to happen, so put yourself out there and get involved. So in the beginning, it was a challenge to like, okay, what do I do now? I guess the answer for that is do something, and that this something that you do will lead you to other something, and then you'll be creating a lot of connections. You'll be getting to know a lot of people, and then you will create your community there. Today, I can say that I have my own community at UK, and I plan to expand that community, getting to know even more people, because I think each person that you connect to is a new learning experience that you have. So right now, I know that if I want something, I just look for it. It's like, if I want to be in aerospace engineering, as Mark says, let's make it happen. So I think this was the biggest learning experience for me. Like, in the beginning, it was a challenge, but then I understood the unknown is actually an opportunity for you to go there and make it happen.
Thank you, Anna Carolina. Brayden?
So it's hard, right? So you come to a completely new environment that's pretty different from a college campus is sort of its own little district within a city. It could be completely different from the outside of the city. Who knows? So you come in and your back is against the wall. You're basically blind, and you're getting fed information through a fire hose. And there's no really better way to explain it. Especially coming from a background where you don't exactly see what a bachelor's degree or any sort of a degree can do for you. It's not being applied in your parents' jobs. You don't see it in terms of how your household would work with it, that sort of thing. So it's, number one, it's hard to find a purpose of why you might be there, other than maybe to obviously to get yourself a better future, but you can't tangibly see exactly what that's going to look like to an extent. So the visualization part of it was very, very difficult. And then especially, I mentioned getting information through a fire hose. I mean, money, living, food, all things that you never really had to consider before that are getting tossed at you. And you've got, I mean, I was lucky enough at my high school to have some emphasis on some college readiness sort of classes or courses, not classes during the semester sort of thing. And it helps, but nothing can really prepare you for an experience other than that experience. So, like I said, the most difficult part was definitely the sheer amount of information that you need to take in and the way that you have to visualize where your future is going to end up and you want it to end up, because a lot of people, first-gen students specifically, will come into college and switch, and you don't end up doing what you thought that you might want to for however long. And at the end of the day, that's a good thing. The fire hose will eventually get smaller, right? And you'll figure out how to grasp that information. But initially, it is quite difficult to understand all those sorts of different intricacies that you need to understand about. I mean, at the end of the day, being an adult, right? And that gets thrown in there as well. So it's not the easiest experience for sure, but it's definitely a good one and a great one developmentally, if you can work yourself through it the right way.
Thank you, Braden. I will ask James to start us off with the Dublin crew.
So for me personally, again, it was just believing in myself. It's something I've struggled with my entire life. And fortunately, I've been blessed to be a part of the Pigman cohort on campus. So that's honestly been so helpful. Just the people I'm allowed to be around, and just like them personally, they've helped me through so much. It's really hard as first gen because I can't really go back home and talk about what I'm going through, especially in engineering. But they're just kind of always there for me, always there to help. Nicest people I ever met. And truthfully, for me personally, the biggest thing is just simply believing in myself. And without those people, without finding them and them investing in me, I don't think I would be who I am. But it's just mainly just believing in myself was the biggest issue I had when coming here. And I'm slowly getting better about it. I'm slowly. So.
I would like to say that the most difficult challenge that I've had coming to UK would be just knowing what to do. Like in high school, they would set us up for going to college and like how to apply to college, but they never really said what to do once you get there. And coming from like a first generation background, like you have no one to ask even the simple questions, like things such as like what tuition is, like what is a bachelor's degree at that. They're just like, we're gonna go to college, you can figure it out after then. And like I've always been surrounded by so many people that like have parents who have went to college before, so they know all the simple things. And it's just like the little stuff that no one has explained to you that you have to figure out on your own, like regardless of what it is. And like everything just seems like it might be like a small, like a dumb question, but no one's teaching you like what the little dumb things are. Everyone's going to like a bigger scope of what to do. So you just have to really figure that type of stuff on your own. But I'm thankful that I had like UK and the first generation community at UK to help me out with that.
For me, my greatest challenge was actually, so where I'm from, it's not very common for people to leave the area. As I mentioned earlier, I'm from Eastern Kentucky. So they doubt you a lot. So when I told my family I was going to UK, my mom was a great supporter. She wanted me to go and everything, but explaining that to other individuals who are from the area, they were like, why are you going to UK? Like, why are you going to college? You don't need that and all that. Because for them, it was very common, say like my grandparents' age, most of them dropped out middle school to help take care of their, say 10 or 11 siblings. So it's not very common. And they're like, why would you waste so much money to go to school when you could maybe go to a local college or go to a technical school or just find a job nearby. So I'd say pushing past that stereotype was a big deal for me.
Well, thank you all. And to be respectful of everyone's time, I'm going to read a last comment, and then I am going to ask Neve for a few comments, and then we will close. For Mary Agnes, we have congratulations to each of you for being so brave to step out of your comfort zone. Enjoy every moment. And I ask Neve to share with us now.
Thanks everyone for participating in this. It was so wonderful to hear from you and about each of your experiences and what both at UK and on this program you've been able to experience. And so we're all really proud of the accomplishments that you've had. I just want to share with the folks on the webinar that this is just one program that our office works with, Education Abroad and Exchanges. It's one example of many different types of international educational opportunities that we have for UK students. Students from every major can study abroad. We have programs for as short as 1 week to an academic year. We have programs all over the world. We have about 1,000 students each year who participate in these types of programs, and we continue to grow that number because we know that the impact of these types of experiences are so significant on our students, academically, professionally, and probably most significantly personally. And so we just want to thank you all for joining us today and hearing a little bit from our students and learning a little bit more about their opportunity that they had and the program that they were on. And we just appreciate y'all's time.